Welcome, everybody. We are at Chestnut Ridge today. This is the We Are Township Leadership Podcast, and I'm talking to Ms. Halicks, Victoria, Makayla, and Owen today. They're all 8th graders. And just a little bit about me. I know we talked off camera a little bit, but I'm Mike Distilio, the Director of Registration, Community Outreach, and Data Technology. Okay, so we are today talking with Ms. Halicks. I'm going to introduce Ms. Halicks a little bit, and then she's going to introduce you. What I've learned about Ms. Halicks that I hopefully she'll expand upon was that you're one of the silent leaders here at school. I think you lead by example, and that's exactly why all of you are here, probably. But the word I like to use with leaders, and sometimes it sounds negative, but it's unrelenting is the word I like to use. From what I know about Ms. Halicks, the courses that you teach in ELA is important because you're making sure that everybody is doing what they need to do to be the best versions of themselves, both as a person and academically. And I know you run the lunch kind of study hall that you do, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I want you to know there's a lot of people in this building that think you're doing wonderful things. So with that being said, if we as a community feel that Ms. Halicks is an incredible leader, an incredible educator, and is able to get max effort out of students, it's not uncommon why she would think that all three of you are leaders. So I want to give this to you an opportunity to talk about why you think Victoria, Makayla, and Owen are leaders in the building.
Absolutely. Well, I've known them for a few years now. Excuse me. They're in 8th grade. I teach 6th,
Okay.
so I've known them for a few years. And all three of them lead with kindness. And I know this because they actually talk to me in the hallway and things. And sometimes after 6th grade, that doesn't happen. When they talk to you, all three of them have this amazing ability to put me at ease. They make everyone around them, I think, feel calm. And I think that's the best thing about them. Really, just great kids. I was thinking about their leadership styles, and all three are very different. And I think when I was thinking about Owen first, I was thinking that Owen is somebody who leads by example, even when it's not easy. And he's the type of kid that shows up, right? Shows up on time, shows up prepared, but I think really shows up ready to work. And that's a really good quality to have for other people to see, you know. Mm-hmm. And when I thought about Makayla's leadership style, I think that Makayla's leadership style is that she leads by her voice. And I don't mean that she's a loud person, because in fact, you're kind of a quiet person. But when it's time and when it matters, you lead with your voice. Mm-hmm. And I think you're somebody who, not afraid to share in a discussion, not afraid to share her opinions. And I think a really great quality that maybe you don't know that you do this, people who lead with their voice sometimes are good listeners. And I've heard you even at a cafeteria table giving advice to your friends. And I think you're somebody that really is going to use your voice for change. And I think that's one of your best qualities. And I was thinking about Victoria. Victoria is the type of person that is a leader through action. And if you want somebody on your team, you're going to want Victoria, for sure. And if it's a group project or working individual, doesn't matter. She's going to get the job done, and she's going to make sure everybody is falling in line. And so I'm really excited that these three kids here specifically, because all of them really are kind of quiet, and I feel the same way in my personal life. But I'm really excited for you to meet them and hear them, because they all lead in different ways, and I'm just really proud of them.
That's really nice. I think when somebody tells something about you like that, it's kind of humbling and sometimes embarrassing, but it's you need to understand that it's rare. Okay, you might think it's commonplace, based on who you are, but when a teacher sees that kind of leadership, especially in a middle school child, it's amazing. So you all, I'm very privileged to meet you today because you all must be extraordinary humans, honestly. Okay, so Ms. Halicks had the opportunity to talk about why she feels all of you are special in her mind. Not only to her personally, but to the students she serves, to your peers, to the school as a whole. I don't know if any of you thought of yourselves as a leader, but I'd like you to kind of like take what Ms. Halicks said and then just offer your opinion about how you see yourself. I know that's hard to do, but I'm just kind of interested in your opinion about how you see yourself kind of navigating Chestnut Ridge, going to the high school, things of that sort, and who you try to be. So I'll start with Owen. If you can just kind of elaborate on like Ms. Halicks' opinion of you and kind of where you see yourself.
Okay, so she said I lead by example, which I like, because I'm a student ambassador.
Okay.
And I always help like new transition kids find their way around the school, and I show them their classrooms and do stuff like that with them. And on back to school night, I help their parents with the schedules.
Very nice. Yeah, that's really good. So you're kind of in the background, but in front, helping them out too, right?
Yeah.
How about like on a daily basis when you're not touring people or when you're not talking to the parents? What would be something that you might do by leading by example?
I try to stay positive in everything I do, so I just keep my head up and I keep going, try to help other people along the way.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. So, Makayla, I believe Ms. Halicks was talking about your ability to not only use your voice, but to also listen as well. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that we see all over kind of society, whether it's America, Canada, whether it's some country overseas, is that sadly, people in power have kind of decided that a varying opinion is not good, mm-hmm. right? And we sometimes insult people because they might have a different opinion of ourselves. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you're able to use your voice to bring people together. Mm-hmm. And I want to know kind of like if you could elaborate, like what is Ms. Halicks seeing?
I think, well, I'm really grateful that I was chosen because I do see in myself that I'm an empathetic person and I am a good listener. To elaborate, it's like she said at the lunch table, many of my friends have like altercations over, to me, minor things. And I try to like take lead and let them know like, okay, everything's okay. We need to just back away from this, be positive, because we're in 8th grade now. So it's kind of like at a certain point, we want to be like more mature and do better for ourselves. And I think my friends notice that because they come to me for advice or they want to hear what I have to say about a decision they may have made. I think also, back on the good listener part, I don't know how to put it. I used to have a hard time communicating how I felt. I am a quiet person, but like Ms. Halicks said, when I talk, I am loud and you can hear what I have to say. So I think now that I was chosen for this really like brightens my eyes to see like I can really like people are noticing that I'm a good person and that I'm a leader and that what I have to say is important because when I talk to help people, to maybe give good advice or just be a good person to talk to, be a supportive friend. So I feel like that's kind of really what Ms. Halicks sees, and I see it in myself too.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, Victoria, you're the forever teammate and you're the person that gets things done and makes sure that everything's going as well as it possibly can be. So how do you see yourself in that way? Is that true?
Yeah, I would say it's like similar to how Ms. Halicks said it. I'm always willing to try new things and always willing to be like a big part and a big like help in those things I try. Like I do Future Acts and it's like a community service club and I love helping people and I'm always willing to help anyone in need. And so I like communicating with other people to let them know that they need help, but I also like to like guide them when I'm leading. So I like to show that action. I think it's really helpful to other people, and I like to get a job done. So
very good. That's awesome. So based on what I heard Victoria saying and what Ms. Halicks said about all three of you, as a grown-up and I'm sure Ms. Halicks would enter this, would echo this, if, since I have a leadership position in the district, if I'm sitting around with all of you at a table and we're working on a project, you all have unique skill sets which would allow us to really do well on a project. So as you get older, recognize that you guys have certain skill sets that contribute as a whole to a team, and it's just absolutely wonderful to hear. We're going to transition a little bit to talk about our hustle program. So just as you know, each middle school has some sort of positive behavioral system of support, okay, where we celebrate the good work that people are doing. So here we have Hustle. At Orchard Valley, we have Panther Pride. At Bunker Hill, we have What It Means to Be a Bulldog, okay? So whatever you call it, it's whatever is appropriate to the culture and the vibe of that particular school. So the Hustle is talking about hands, feet, and body to yourself, and you guys have defined that to be, just engage in respectful communication, use your materials correctly. Like when you come to school, you're using your pen, you're working on it, you're not throwing things around the room, you're respecting somebody like Miss Halicks who's trying to give you her best at that moment. You're sitting quietly, you're showing that aspect of respect, you're raising your hand when to talk and not interrupting. Task, you work hard, you don't give up, you see something through, you listen, right? And you listen to ask the appropriate questions to seek to understand. And then by all means, middle school is a very tough time when people sometimes use their vocabulary to tear people down, but here expressing yourself with kind words is the E in Hustle. So having said that, and I know you have it in front of you a little bit, I'm going to start with Makayla first and talk about, of HUSTLE, what resonates most with you? What do you identify most with?
Definitely E, because I don't really like disrespect. I take it personal because my home life wasn't always okay. There was a lot of issues going back and forth. So when I come to school, I look to come to a safe environment where I can share my thoughts and opinions and people can share with me. So I like E because you can express yourself respectfully, hear what others have to say while not putting them down, and then also share what you have to say in a respectful way because everyone has different thoughts and feelings. And I just find that it's important to make sure, everyone's different. Nobody's perfect and no one has all the answers. So don't put someone else down because they're not on your level or don't understand you 100%.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Victoria.
I think I most relate to T because I like to work hard and get the job done, but I also like to make sure that I put my best into that work and do as much as I 100% can to get the grade I deserve. But not only is it about the grade, it's about how you work to get there. And it's so say you're working on a group project to get the job done, taking action in a leadership role. I think it is important to be a leader in that group because you do get to maybe help others along the way with a type of skill that they may not have, and you can teach them how to possess that skill, and I think that's really important.
Very nice. Thank you.
I think L because you always have to listen to what people have to say. Everybody has different opinions, and you can't just tear people down because you don't have the same you don't have the same opinion. And I just think it's important that you know what other people have to say, and you can use that information to help them and lead.
Very good. Thank you. So I'm going to put Ms. Halicks on the spot now. So where do you most identify with in the acronym?
Well, I think it's hard for me to pick one because when I look at all of it, I think that all of this has to do with accountability. And so I think as a teacher, when I look at my students and I look at what Hustle stands for, I try to think of this as how they're being accountable, right? How are you showing up into the classroom? How are you doing what needs to be done? And it's not always about doing all of these every day, right? We try to do that, but the path to success, right, or the path to our goals doesn't always have to be the same, right? So each day we try all of these things, but if one day, let's say, your materials aren't charged, say our laptops, right? You're not going to throw all the rest of these things away, right? It's one thing that is not on this list. We're going to make it better. We're going to do what we have to do and be accountable, right? So I think all of these things really go to accountability, right? For
Yeah.
all students.
And from what I've heard about you, that accountability piece is important to you, and in so much as exactly what you mentioned here, that's how you get your students to be, to give max effort
Right,
and
the
stuff
buy-in.
like that. Yeah, to take pride in not only the grade, but the journey to get there
Yes.
as well. So
For sure.
that's excellent. So I listen to some podcasts myself. I don't know if you guys all listen to some podcasts. Maybe Miss Halicks does. I don't know what her commute is in the morning, but to me is very important. Ethical leadership is very important. Just to me, in general, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and sometimes I find ethical leadership in the most obscure places, like 8th grade, middle school students at Chestnut Ridge, right? So, but in this particular podcast, it's called Human Capital Leadership, and they talk about, in this one episode, they talked about 6 characteristics of ethical leadership. And I'll go slow so you can process it. But it's accountability, courage, character or integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. All right? So it sounds very similar to the Hustle program. So again, it's accountability, courage, character, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. All right? Starting with Victoria, can you tell me, like, of those 6, where do you see yourself?
I see myself as a person that has a lot of integrity because my personality is very strong, but I also feel like I have a lot of self-awareness because I am always aware of my surroundings and my goals to get to where I need to be, and just, what's the word I'm looking for?
Motivated.
Yeah, my motivation to get there. And I feel like when you do have a goal, you have more motivation, and I feel like that's where I stand because I'm always motivated.
Fantastic. Makayla.
I definitely see myself in empathy and accountability because I'm the type of person, if I do something wrong or I know I may have said a hurtful thing, I'll take accountability and I apologize because everyone has bad days and you have to recognize, okay, maybe I had a bad morning. I'm not necessarily mad at you. I'm just having a bad day. So accountability is a major one for me, as well as empathy, because a lot of people, like in middle school or my peers at least, we're going through a lot of things, and being a good listener and someone who they can talk to and understanding is a really good thing to make like a safe and comfortable environment at school, which I try to just make sure I do that each and every day.
Thank you.
So I think self-awareness is really important, and I think I fit into that because I'm aware if I'm not doing the right thing or if I am doing the right thing and how I can improve on that and to help different people and even myself just with getting the goals and getting stuff done, being aware of everything going on around me.
Wonderful. Miss Halicks,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself on that continuum?
I think resilience,
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking about them again, and I think it's important to model that for students too, that you have to keep going, right? And some days are going to be better than others, and we move on, we move forward, and I think that that's on a daily basis, right? I think that with resilience, you have to show that you're vulnerable, right? And I think, Makayla, you said earlier about it's not always admitting that you have the right answers, right? That even as teachers, right, we want to show different ways to get to an outcome, right? And so I think resilience is key in that just the ability to keep going, and it's going to be okay.
I have one final question, and this is not a planned question that I gave, so I apologize if I'm throwing everybody for a loop, but you all are talking in a very mature way, and that doesn't happen by accident. That happens in because there's somebody special in your life that has modeled that for you, whether it's by example, whether it's by voice, whether it's by action, right? For me, it's my grandfather, you know. He's not here anymore because I'm older and he would be in his hundreds. But, when I was a kid, I realized that, my decisions, my accountability, my self-awareness was based on when it came time for Christmas or when it came time for Easter, if I go to him and say, Grandpa, hey, I did this, are you proud of me? We didn't have cell phones when I was a kid, so if I said, hey, Grandpa, I piped off this really rude meme to my friend, were you proud of me or what? And if he would say no, then I knew it was a bad idea, right? So he was my, I guess, so to speak, compass or my GPS to understand how to do well. I'm wondering if you can think about who that person is in your life. So what I'll do is while you guys are thinking about it, I'll put Miss Halicks on the spot because, I'm sure as an educator and as an adult, she has had many special people in her life, but I'm wondering if you could tap into one.
For sure. Both of my parents were educators. My dad also was a longtime football coach. My mom was in the same school district for over 40 years, student teaching, teacher, assistant principal, principal, superintendent. And both of my parents had aggressive leadership almost, not shy people, both very strong. And I think that I get a lot of my leadership from them, but my leadership role is certainly very different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just maybe because they were so aggressive in their leadership that I just kind of have it in my own way. But both of my parents being educators really taught me a lot of how I wanted to be.
Thank you for sharing. Owen, I'll start with you.
Okay, I think both my parents are really good leaders because they've always been there for me, and they always told me if I was doing the right thing, and I would know if I was doing the wrong thing because they would beat it into me, so I wouldn't always have to be doing the wrong thing. I would always choose to do the right thing, and they're really proud of me for that.
They should be.
And I thank them for doing that.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you. Makayla.
I think I have two, my grandmother and my great-grandmother. I really grew up around them because my Gigi, she's 99, so she's very wise. And she gives me a lot of advice when it comes down to, academics or just, my social life. So similar to you and Owen, if I know I'm doing the wrong thing, she's going to make sure I know that so I can improve and not just sit and, she says, you don't want to sit in a pile of mud. You want to get up and go to the green grass and stuff like that. And for my grandma, she was a teacher as well, a reading specialist, a tutor. There's a whole list. So she's always on me about my academics, and she wants to make sure that I always put my best foot forward. So I always make sure I kind of not follow her, but let her teach me so I can take the wisdom and just use it for the rest of my life.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine's my older sister, who Miss Halicks also taught. She's 10 years older than me, but she still lives in my house. And she is right next to me, bedroom door. So she's always the person that when I'm having a rough time or I'm not understanding something, she's always there to help me step up, teach me something that I don't know, or tell me how to deal with a situation I may be having with a person. And I think she's the reason why I feel maybe compared to some other people, I am more mature, because she has taught me a lot along the way of growing up, and I feel like that's a big important thing.
Outstanding. And I hope that when this is published, we'll be able to share that with our family members. I think that would make their day. Anyway, that concludes any of my pre-planned questions, some of my questions that I threw at you that you weren't prepared for. I just want to say that this was an absolute pleasure meeting all of you, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do at the high school or if you're going to a different high school, wherever you guys choose to be. So it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure getting to know you, Miss Halicks, and thank you all for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.